All right, welcome to today's episode of Under the Surface. Today we're going to be covering These Old Blue Arms, the life and work of Amund Dietzel. It's a pretty great book. This one, there's a second part to it, which I'm sure I'll cover. There's another great one on George Burchett as well that I think is pretty great. But yeah, let's get into it. So first off, this is a pretty cool book. They really weren't too bad. $50 when they came out. I think you can still get them, but I'm not totally sure. If you got a link to it, drop that link in the comments so people can pick it up. This book's great whether you're a tattooer or just tattoo enthusiast. There's a lot of great, cool imagery. That's a really cool photo, though. Grimshaw and Dietzel, 1913. Yeah, that is a classic Bowery style tattoo shop. Probably then parlor. Some cool images of these guys all tattooed up. These frilly, weird, like boxer, I don't know. Those are weird shorts. Kind of cool. Somebody should bring that look back. Check those out with the stash and everything. That's some 2021 style right there. Another great back piece. Let's zoom in on that. Yeah, look at that. Cool Rock of Ages. Another cool photo of this guy right there. That's really cool. He's got the Pharaoh's horses on his chest. A bunch of other cool images. We're going to skip over a lot of this. It's pretty cool. This must have been like circus performer kind of shorts, just fancy shorts to kind of just show off, for this person to be able to show off their tattoos. But then they're kind of like, they're extra showy, you know, because they got those same kind of frilly circus performer shorts as well. It must have been what that was. I mean, at this time, there was totally, in carnivals and circuses, a lot of tattooers were just traveling with them, and people would get tattoos just in a tent, at a carnival. I feel like that's probably what they're talking about and alluding to in this picture here too. He's probably just traveling, in the early 1900s, tattooing at carnivals and stuff. All right, here we're about to get into a bunch of his flash. This stuff is pretty cool. This early stuff is really wild. I feel like you really see the early influences of the kind of Japanese tourist imagery that was floating around like the late 1800s, early 1900s, that a lot of early tattooing was coming from. A lot of early tattooing was kings and princes and princesses going over from Europe to Japan, the Far East at that time, and they were coming back with stuff like this, stuff that you would see in Japanese prints, but just done on a very smaller scale and simplified quite a bit from even what was going on in Japanese tattoos at that time. Let's zoom in on these. They're pretty cool. But yeah, they'd be done at like 1/6 the size or whatever. Some cool kind of stork crane imagery. Like I said, a lot of this stuff is a lot different, more different than what you would normally associate with traditional American tattoos. But I mean, this really was the first generation of kind of traditional American tattoos coming from Europe. Great wonky tiger, hawk attacking. Love both of these. These are really cool. Love this. The pot is really cool. Interesting. Like, these still hold up by 2020 standards. Some courtesans. Japanese, very fancy dressed women. I think these are supposed to be kind of like a lot of the flip-flop demon masks you would see come out of Japan, but maybe just not done quite as well. Because obviously you don't really see the second face. A little bit in this one, but not really at all, even on that one. Love these fish. These are funky and fun. Cool little like dragon koi thing I think that's supposed to be. Just not quite right, but it's super fun and interesting still. Eagles and snakes, which, I mean, I bet these hawk/eagles are taken straight from like Kano school paintings, but then they're kind of brought in with this snake too, to just bring in kind of that flair of the dramatics. Great snakes. Love those. Super cool imagery. This shape works so well, and I've used that so much in my own tattooing of snakes. It looks really dynamic. It looks like it's ready to strike. Same with this one. It looks like it's in waiting. And that's something you should always think about, like if you're a tattooer and you're drawing something, like give it purpose. Give your design purpose. Like, why is it in the position it's in? You know, when I was a kid, I would always think about like, I'd make a story up for my drawing. You know, I'd make up like, oh, you know, I'm drawing it like this, and I'd have it play out in my mind. Whether or not you could really see that, but in your head, like make a little story of like, why is it in the position it is? You know, either it just got scared or it's about to strike. I don't know. I think it really helps with conveying natural poses, even if something is simply rendered. It gives it a uniqueness and an authenticity that you don't see a lot. Really cool dragons. Once again, kind of more just boiled down, and you're starting to see where a lot of simplified elements of the European American styles coming into this Chinese, Japanese imagery. Some more cranes and storks. Really love both of these. These are great. Great layouts. Just some fun heads. Those are cool, just big old imagery. This one's wild. I mean, that snake head's a little too big on that one. But that one's super cool. Love the rows on it. I even kind of like this random scaling on it. The pattern that's not quite scales, but gives you the idea of it. I'd like to see that done again to some degree. Someone should rip that. Great sparrows, especially that bottom one. I really dig that. Classic eagle image that we'll see time and time again. I'd love to see where somebody got the inspiration for this, because it's got to be from like a classic illustration. I don't know what it is. If you know, drop it in the comments, a link to the original inspiration for this image, because I mean, it's been done a million times, but I know that it has to be taken from some old illustration or a photo or something. Once again, really great. These are cool. That snake and skull is awesome. I love the kind of random lines in this one. They add some texture that's really cool. Really cool. A little bit more in the Japanese realm with these ones. You know, this one's a little bit more straightforward, taken from probably some Japanese reference, which you can tell with a lot of the scaling, a little bit less on the patternness of what you would come to see with more European and American style dragons. I like the colors in this one, the kind of orange in it. I don't know about the kind of maroon in the wings or red in the wings as much. I like it behind here, but not as much in there. This one's wild. That water is crazy and psychedelic. It's like blood and water all mixed together. It's pretty cool. And it's an interesting face on that crocodile. At least I think that's what this is supposed to be, a crocodile. Some more history and kind of just showing layouts. You know, like a lot of these early artists are really taking a technical viewpoint to how they're laying these tattoos out. You know, here he's got a grid system, so he just knows that he's asymmetrical, and B, that there's a rhythm and a flow to all this. And, you know, this really harkens back to, you know, a lot of the stuff I talked about in the Philip Blue video. You know, you're seeing that he's laying things out in sections. You know, you're kind of looking at this one, and then there's the middle section and then the top section. Smart design. And at the end, with tattoos, I mean, it's really just design. Here we are in some of his, you know, detailed, fine art painting. I'm sure a lot of these early tattooers were doing a million other things just to make money, you know. So now we're in the World War II era, and I think his work is going to change dramatically. It's all going to be like military, war-based imagery, but it's done really cool. It's done in an interesting way that you don't see a lot of later people do as much. I love this anchor. I love that kind of, the shapes on that one. It's super cool. The rhythm is great. Some great Death Before Dishonor dagger and hearts. And as you can see, his stuff is getting a little bit more hard-boiled, a little less fine line of sorts of what his earlier stuff was. You know, that dragon is starting to look a lot more simple. It's starting to look a lot more what you associate with traditional American versions of Japanese dragons. And you're gonna notice not a lot of color in here. Pretty much just sticking to red and green for the most part. A little bit of yellow, maybe a little bit of blue, especially when you're seeing flags, but for the most part, red and green. Maybe yellow. This one's great. That's a great layout. I always love the way the shape of the body of the eagle follows the shape of the flag. I think it's really cool. But then the wing directions break the shapes up. This wing brings your eye down and back into the flag, where this one kind of brings your eye into the whole image, followed with the stars, and that yellow and the stars brings you into the beak and the top of the flagpole, which then brings you into here with the curve of that flower, and then back up into the design through that wing. So that's really smart tattooing. As far as the design goes, that's maybe one of the best designs I've seen of his so far. It's really, really smart. That's kind of fun, interesting. I don't know if I've seen a take on that. And this one too, you don't see like that style of boat as much in these images. You know, you're always going to see like the big, you know, battle cruisers and stuff like that. I like this little beach scene, you know, little remembering fonder days. This mother imagery, this one especially, not as much this one. I don't know, this one looks a little sad. Maybe that's what they're trying to convey with the drooping tails of maybe the flowers, or I can't quite tell what that's supposed to be part of. But this one looks extra sad. This one, I feel like it is just really great. It's super open. It's really simple. It would be quickly tattooed, but yet it's just beautifully designed. These are cool. Like definitely like looking at old movie posters and stuff like this looks like Greta Garbo or something, you know. Maybe that's earlier than but totally reminds me of some, you know, 40s movie star, 30s movie star. Take on the Gibson Girl. Don't love it as much. It's lacking a bunch. This one's really cool. I like this little flourish down at the bottom. Face on that one is pretty rough. I don't know about that. He tried though. Clearly put it up on there. He probably just told everybody like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll nail the face when I actually do it." It's a really classic one. This image right here is so evenly weighed. All these are really great, but I really like this one down here. It just feels, the feeling and the weight of it is so classic and yet even to me. Love this cowgirl. I mean, you see Sailor Jerry take a take on this. Burt Grimm does a take on this for sure. Everybody, I'm sure, has done their own take on this, but this is one of the first times I feel like I see it, and it's really cool. I like the colors that he has going on there. The spurs, the gold spurs, really cool. Those dragons, once again, getting simpler and simpler. This one has got a really cool face. Like, he definitely was looking at something, wanted to nail that face, because it's spot on from what you would see in a Japanese painting for sure. And then the body, he's like, I gotta simplify it. I don't know if I ever really like these kind of candy cane belly scales. I like when they're just kind of more red like that. It looks too much like a barber shop or something to me, but the idea is there. The head's great on that one. This girl's always super cool. Once again, I'd be interested what the source material for this one is. And if you know, drop it in the comments. I'd be willing to bet it's from like an old silent era film. I feel like there was a bunch of stuff like with people dressed in very theatrical outfits, like demons and stuff. And I almost want to say that it's taken from that. But yeah, if you know, drop a link in the comments or what your take is and where you think this design is from. Cool butterfly girl. Cool colors in that one, like really saturated in the color. A couple parrots. Love all these. All these are great. This one's super cool. It's not the most evenly weighed of an image. Like I might like bring a bud up through somewhere or something just to try and bring that flower in somewhere or bring the bird down in some way. But I like the attempt on this one. It's got some cool stuff working for it. And this one is so cool with the yellow flowers on the side. Really brings in a lot of dynamics and just cool colors. Some cool daggers. Just some back matter of, you know, like his family, kind of what he was doing after the war. And as his life was kind of winding down a little bit. There's the back. All right, that's it for today. Yeah, remember to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Share this with them. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.